Hi, today I will be reviewing Carol, A Love Letter Flung Out of Space. This is a movie review based off of the adaptation for A Price of Salt, Carol. I think it did a really good job of being a review. It highlights different decision-making choices during the film. It does a lot of research into both the source material, A Price of Salt, and Carol, the adaptation. And it really does intrigue the viewer to read Price of Salt and watch the movie Carol, which is key points that a review should do. But going into it a little bit more, I think a good review does well to contextualize the book, what exactly goes into the writing, the cinematography, what it does for the genre, as well as capturing the intent of the media. What is the original source material trying to say? What is it trying to get across to the viewer? And trying to get that across to the movie watcher who may not have read the book just yet. And also intriguing the audience who may not have watched the movie or read the book into trying to compare and contrast and form their own opinions of the movie. Contextualization is really important. I like the fact that they didn't just highlight Todd Haynes, the director, but also highlighted other people in the creative process, such as Phyllis Nagy, which was Patricia Highsmith, the writer. His friend, and they detailed their journey of writing the screenplay after the Patricia Highsmith's death and what that process looked like to Nagy. It also highlights Ed Lachman's cinematography process where they tried to emulate 50s photography using a 16 millimeter camera and its filming positions through windows, through other means that were popular at the time of the 1950s. I also like how it highlights Judy Becker and Sandy Powell's decision to create the world that happened that Carol is a part of, which is post-war, and these like bright, lively colors. The costume design, for example, the mink coat that Carol wears was falling apart to represent the falling apart of Carol's life in mind space at the time. Um, Sandy Powell would have to restitch that mink coat after every take because it was just falling apart to show exactly how bad it was for Carol. They also highlight Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara for, of course, portraying Therese and Carol as accurately as they could to the original book. Um, I really just like the way it highlights what made it so big, the moments, big moments so big, and why and who did it. Um, I also think it captures the intent really well. It characterizes all the characters very, very true to the book. For example, Abby and Harsh. Abby is still the very much supportive ex slash childhood best friend to Carol. Harsh is still that chauvinistic, misogynistic, control freak of a husband that Carol unfortunately has to deal with. I will say it does not highlight Therese's and Carol's characterization compared to the source material. It does say about what they're supposed to be like in the book, where Therese is supposed to be very obsessive over Carol, but it does not say if that gets translated very well into the movie. It's just like, oh, this is what happens in the book. Um, but it does also highlight some things that only happen in the movie, such as Therese not being the point of view for the reader, for the viewers, like she is in the book. And overall, it does a really good job speaking to the genre and of like movie adaptations from books and comparing and contrasting what it did really well and how it stayed very truthful to the overall feel of the book and the movie. And I think it did a really good job. But yeah. I think a really good part of adding to that intrigue that this review does is the way it writes. A lot of it is basically like poetry, like prose poetry, as you can see here. A love that dare not speak its name, silence Sighs, glances, pause yield so much more meaning than any words. And when words are finally spoken, they hit you in your core. That is so beautiful. I feel like this really does translate to A Price of Salt and like trying to get to that literary analysis or like literary quality of A Price of Salt. And trying to get viewers kind of excited and hyped for reading and watching Price of Salt and Carol respectively, which again, I think this review does really well, and this isn't the only example of this. This is just my favorite one.